Hello, welcome to the Daily News Ukraine channel. Today is March 4th and our daily review of news about Ukraine. Special Forces of the Security Service of Ukraine, SBU, destroyed 8 units of enemy equipment in one night, including 5 tanks. According to Ukrinform, the SBU press service said this in a Telegram post. Special Forces of the SBU Special Operations Center burned another 8 units of enemy equipment in one night, 5 tanks, 2 IFVs, 1 truck with ammunition, the report says. Read also, border guards eliminate 25 Russian soldiers near Bakhmut. As Ukrinform reported, SBU Special Forces destroyed 6 Russian tanks in one night in early March. Photo, General Staff. European Parliament President Roberta Metsola has said she hopes that negotiations on Ukraine's membership in the European Union will begin this year. She stated this during a short conversation with journalists in Lviv, and Ukrinform correspondent reports. According to the European Parliament President, when people say that Ukraine is Europe and Europe is Ukraine, it means that accession negotiations should start as soon as possible, which means this year. She also noted that she is impressed by the progress achieved by Ukraine in implementing the European Commission's recommendations. In her opinion, the EU should also match the speed of this progress. Read also, Zelensky meets with European Parliament President in Lviv. As reported, on February 28, 2022, President Volodymyr Zelensky signed Ukraine's application for membership in the European Union. On June 23, the heads of state and government of the European Union adopted a decision to grant Ukraine the status of a candidate country for EU membership. On February 28, 2023, Zelensky said that this year is the time to decide on the start of negotiations on Ukraine's membership in the EU. In the temporarily captured part of Kherson region, Russian invaders engage in looting and force local residents to dig trenches for them. Khlan, member of the Kherson Regional Council, said this in a Facebook post, Ukrinform reports. There are more and more reports of increased pressure on people living in the occupied left bank part. They complain that when the so-called DPR representatives station in the villages, they force civilians to dig trenches for them, they engage in looting and search for pro-Ukrainian residents, Khlan wrote. Read also, 1 civilian killed, 10 injured in 69 Russian attacks on Kherson region. As reported, the armed forces of Ukraine liberated the right bank part of Kherson region, in particular, the city of Kherson. Part of the region, located on the left bank of the Dnipro, is temporarily occupied by Russian troops. In the Avdiivka direction, Russian troops suffered losses as they attempted to storm the positions of the armed forces of Ukraine again. This was reported by the press service of the Hetman Bohdan Khmelnytsky Independent Presidential Brigade on Facebook, according to Ukrinform. Thus, 3 enemy tanks and 5 infantry fighting vehicles were destroyed by forces and means of the 2nd Mechanized Battalion of the Presidential Brigade in cooperation with the 55th Separate Artillery Brigade and the 110th Separate Mechanized Brigade. 6 invaders were taken prisoners. Read also, War Update, Ukraine repels over 150 Russian attacks in 5 directions. It is noted that the next day the enemy made another assault attempt that was also unsuccessful. As reported by Ukrinform, Ukrainian border guard mortar crews eliminated 25 Russian soldiers near Bakhmut. Near Bakhmut, Ukrainian border guard mortar crews have eliminated 25 Russian soldiers. This was reported by the State Border Guard Service on Telegram, Ukrinform reports. Fighters of the State Border Guard Service detected a Russian assault group in the Bakhmut direction with the help of drones. It is noted that as a result of coordinated actions, the enemy assault group was eliminated. In total, during the week, Ukrainian defenders using drones discovered 68 locations of the enemy, 23 units of enemy equipment and 17 ammunition depots in this direction, the State Border Guard Service added. As reported by Ukrinform, the Defense Forces of Ukraine eliminated 152,190 Russian troops since the full-scale invasion began. Photo, State Border Guard Service. At a meeting with European Parliament President Roberta Metsola, President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed gratitude for the leadership in supporting Ukraine since the first days of the war unleashed by Russia and for the important decisions adopted by the European Parliament. According to Ukrinform, Zelensky said this in a Telegram post. In particular, Zelensky recalled that on the second day after submitting an application for membership in the European Union in March 2022, the European Parliament adopted a resolution on the support and need to grant Ukraine candidate status. Read also, Stefanchuk, Metsola discuss Ukraine's path towards full-fledged EU membership. Ukraine aims to complete the implementation of the recommendations of the European Commission as soon as possible and start negotiations on joining the EU already this year, the president said. As reported by Ukrinform, Verkhovna Rada chairman Ruslan Stefanchuk discussed with Metsola Ukraine's path to full membership in the EU, sanctions against Russia and China's proposal for a so-called peace treaty. The fate of 7 people remains unknown following a Russian missile strike on an apartment block in Zaporizhzhia city. As of now, 7 people are missing, 5 women and 2 men, the local law enforcement officers reported. Earlier it became known that rescuers removed the bodies of 10 dead people, 6 women, 3 men, and a child, from the rubble of the destroyed building. Read also, 3 more bodies retrieved at Russian strike site in Zaporizhzhia, bringing death toll to 10 as reported. On the night of March 2, Russian troops launched a missile attack on Zaporizhzhia city, partially destroying a 5-story residential building. As of March 3, the fate of 10 people remained unknown. On the evening of March 3, Russian troops hit Kamyshivka, Donetsk region, with Smerch MLRS, damaging a healthcare facility. In the morning shelling, civilians were injured. Operational situation in the region as of the morning of March 4. Last evening, the Russians hit Kamyshivka in Novorodivka territorial community, damaging a healthcare facility. Nobody was injured, Pavlo Kirilenko, head of the Donetsk Regional Military Administration, posted on Telegram. Script async src equals https://telegram.org/js/telegram widget.js 21 data telegram post equals Pavlo Kirilenko _nota /6947 data width equals 100%/script in Donetsk direction. 8 houses were damaged in Okeratyne community, in Solovyov, Tonenk, and Lastikine. In the evening, Avdiivka was struck, houses in 3 streets were damaged. In Kharkiv community, Kharkiv and Kharkivka came under fire. In Marinka community, Marinka, Krasnohorivka, and Katarinivka were struck. No casualties were reported. In the morning, 1 person was injured in Chasev Yar in Horlivka direction. 5 houses were damaged in Toretsk community. Dubova-Vasilivka, Orikova-Vasilivka, and Minkivka came under fire in Soldar community. 1 person was injured and 6 houses were damaged in Zvanivka community in Lysychansk direction. In Siversk, a house was destroyed, industrial facilities were damaged. 11 strikes were recorded in Torsky and Zarikn in Lyman community. The Russian army killed 2 residents of Donetsk region over the past day, March 3. Russian troops have already killed 462 children and injured another 930 children in Ukraine. As of March 4, 2023, more than 1,391 children were killed and injured in Ukraine as a result of the full-scale armed aggression of the Russian Federation. According to official information of juvenile prosecutors, 462 children were killed and more than 930 children received injuries of varying severity, the Prosecutor General's office posted on Telegram. As noted, these numbers are not final as efforts are ongoing to establish casualties in the areas of hostilities, temporarily captured and liberated territories. Most children were killed and injured in Donetsk region, 445, Kharkiv region, 272, Kyiv region, 123, Kherson region, 90, Zaporizhzhia region, 84, Mykolaiv region, 83, Chernihiv region, 68, Luhansk region, 66, Dnipropetrovsk region, 64. In particular, it became known about the death of a 7-month-old girl in a Russian missile strike on Zaporizhzhia city on March 2. The Russian armed forces have already damaged 3,126 educational institutions in Ukraine, 438 of them are completely destroyed. As reported, 350 children have gone missing in Ukraine since the beginning of the full-scale war. The Russian army shelled the border settlements in 3 districts of Kharkiv region over the past day. 1 civilian was injured. Over the past day, border settlements of Kharkiv, Kupiansk, and Lviv districts of the region again suffered from the occupiers' shelling. In the village of Berestov, Kupiansk district, a man, 52, was hospitalized in a moderate condition, Ola Sinihubov, head of the Kharkiv Regional Military Administration, posted on Telegram. Script async src equals https://telegram.org/js/telegram widget.js 21 data telegram post equals Sinegubov /5660 data width equals 100% script at least 9 residential buildings, a healthcare facility, outbuildings, and garages were damaged in Kupiansk. Nobody was injured. A private house was damaged in Vovchansk, Lviv district. As reported, a 73-year-old woman was killed, and an administrative building and a healthcare facility were destroyed in the Russian shelling of Kharkiv region on March 2. Today we were talking about those news. SBU Special Forces destroy 5 Russian tanks in one night. Metsola expects talks on Ukraine's accession to EU will begin this year. In Kherson region, invaders forcing civilians to dig trenches, Khlan. Russian forces suffer losses as they attempt to storm Ukrainian positions in Avdiivka direction. Border guards eliminate 25 Russian soldiers near Bakhmut. Zelensky meets with European Parliament President in Lviv. 7 people missing after missile attack on Zaporizhzhia. Russians hit Donetsk region with Smerch MLRS, damaging hospital. Russian army has already killed 462 children in Ukraine. Enemy shells 3 districts of Kharkiv region, civilian injured.